What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Pizza Buffet Week 10 in the NFL on the Forward Progress YouTube channel, presented by Fanduel. I'm Rob Pizzola. I'm here with you for the next hour leading up to the start of these early games in the NFL. Full disclosure, bet the Giants. Good numbers. Feel like an idiot right now. I'll try not to be too invested in watching the second half here, and I will go game by game, rotation number order, giving you my thoughts on each game. You'll see my numbers pop up on the screen for every single game. Do with that what you will. I'll talk through the handicapping process for each of them. If I like a prop in a game, I'm just going to give it out, and you can assume that I like it across the entire market. I checked these before came on air today. So if I give out a prop, obviously search for the best number. Make sure you use FanDuel as well, but assume that I like it across the entire market. As always, if you see news in real time, drop it in here. I'm very focused on the game previews. I don't want to deviate too much and have to seek out news myself. I got the phone off. Got not much happening here. So if you see news, drop it in here in real time. As always, I will end with anytime touchdown scores. A lot of these are long shots. That's normally where I like to go with it. Hopefully we can cash one or two today. See a lot of people in the chat, a lot of regulars, Free 88, D2, Patrick English, John, Will, Ryan, howdy. Good morning to everyone. Good to see everyone in here again. Before we get kicked off, make sure you smash that like button down below. Share this out onto your socials if you can. Let's grow this into a very, very big NFL stream. I'm very happy with the viewership over the last couple of weeks, but if you can share it out on your socials, it does help us grow. Makes it a lot easier for me to do these every single Sunday morning. Last thing, before we get into it, if you watch my content from earlier in the week and you see that I have a different opinion today, I promise you it has nothing to do with the public bet percentages or someone on Twitter being on the opposite side of the game and then being a mush or whatever. If my opinion on a game has changed, one of two things has happened. One, the market number has changed, and I think it's moved too much. Or two, there's new information that's become available since I handicapped it earlier in the week. I'll go through all of that, though, as we get into it here. Good morning, Insight. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Scott. Joe D. Appreciate all you guys who are in here on Sunday morning. And definitely, Brandon, not a believer in the reverse line movement. I don't want to go on a huge tangent here. I know you guys are ready for me to get into the games. But people still handicap these games like it's 2005. I don't understand why. I don't get it. A lot of the situational stuff is already baked into numbers, the public bet percentages. Anyways, to each their own. Do what you want to do. I would suggest to not handicap the game like it's 2005. All right. First game on the board here is the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts. Taking a look at the market right now, this one has been bet out to 4.5 in the last hour or so, pretty much across the entire screen. Total in the game, 46.5. There's been a back and forth on this one in terms of total movement. Got bet down early in the week on a release, got bet back up, now bet back down again. All sorts of stuff going on in this game. Needless to say, I do not agree with the line movement. You see my spread on screen, which is Buffalo minus 3.5. As we stand right now, I don't know if Amari Cooper is going to play in this game. We know Keon Coleman is out. Amari Cooper is dealing with a wrist injury. Yesterday, they made some activations. They signed Jalen Virgil to the 53-man roster. They promoted Tyrell Shavers and KJ Hamler from the practice squad. That would indicate to me that's a very decent chance that Cooper is not playing here. They still have some options at receiver, but Khalil Shakir, Mac Hollins, Curtis Samuel, like I said, Jalen Virgil, Tyrell Shavers, these are not going to be scaring other teams. I think that has to be factored into the equation here, and that's where I get to the number in the game. Indy's healthy on D. As we saw last week, it's not a great defense. Minnesota moved the ball up and down the field on them. They stalled out because of some turnovers, some Sam Darnold mistakes. But this is Indy's defense at full health, which I think can be a league average defense. So you add that in with the injuries on the Buffalo offensive side, and I think maybe the market is overpricing Buffalo's offense a little bit here. On the other side, Michael Pittman is out. Michael Pittman has not had a great year. He's been dealing with a back injury all season. You have Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, who I love in prop looks today, Ashton Dulin as well. Prop look for this game, Adonai Mitchell over receptions and receiving yards. I know he's been bet up a lot in recent weeks, and frankly, people have been losing money on Adonai Mitchell. He gets steamed in the market every single week. He's caught a little bit of steam here as well in both of these markets. I don't think enough based off the way that he's been talked about by beat reporters and the team this week. So I like him for an overlook in this game. You must note Ryan Kelly, their center, has gone to IR, but their left tackle, Bernard Raymond, comes back here. Balin Spector on the Bills defense goes on IR as well. A few things here that I think are paths to success for the Colts offense. One is I do expect that their running game will be effective against the Bills defensive front. That's a big for the Colts offense. You saw last week they couldn't really establish the run against the Vikings. That puts Flacco in a lot of positions where he's got to do things himself. And I think Flacco's better than Richardson, but you don't want to rely on him to have to do everything. In this particular game as well, you get a Buffalo defense that doesn't send a lot of blitzes. They tend to drop into coverage. They rely on their front four to get pressure as much as possible. That works into the hands of Joe Flacco, in my opinion. I think the best way to get after Flacco is exactly what the Vikings did last week. Send a bunch of pressure, force the receivers to win one-on-one. You don't see the Bills do that all that often. So very strong lean or opinion here, I would say, with the market now at 4.5 on the Buffalo Bills 3.5. But you should note someone in market who is successful and plays big amounts of dollars likes Buffalo in this game. So it is an opposing opinion to someone who is very well respected in the market. Game number 2 here. We got the Vikings and the Jags. I think this touched 7.5 at one point. The entire market is now sitting at 7. Fanduel shaded towards the Jags. Depending on the book, you'll get different shading on the side here. Total at 43.5, juice to the under at Fanduel. Not a strong opinion on this game, so I don't want to spend too much time here on this one in particular. You have obviously a lot of injury situations. The Jacksonville offense, you get Mac Jones instead of Trevor Lawrence. Now, I think Mac Jones is better than people give him credit for. It's weird to say his end in New England was poor, bad O-line, lots of pressure, made a lot of mistakes. The problem is that I think a lot of what persisted in New England is also going to affect him here in Jacksonville. It looks like Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis are both going to play at receiver. Brian Thomas was highly ineffective last week. He is nursing a pretty bad injury where he's gutting through it right now. Same with Gabe Davis. You have Ezra Cleveland out on the offensive line, your left guard. Your tackles, Walker Little at left tackle was bad last week after trading Cam Robinson. Rookie Anton Harrison on the right side hasn't been good. It's just really challenging to see Jacksonville find success on offense with Mac Jones here. There's a pretty decent chance that he's going to face pressure. There's a pretty decent chance that, I don't want to say a decent chance, but he's dealing with banged up receivers, and it's possible BTJ, Gabe Davis don't finish this game either. Minnesota has some injuries in the linebacking core, and I do want to see, I haven't been able to get a finalized injury report for them, whether or not Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace are going to play. That's both inside linebackers. With them out, you might get the Jags being able to run the ball a little bit more. But overall, I don't like the outlook for this Jags offense against a very good defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. Other side of things, healthy O against healthy D. The big problem here is the style in which Jacksonville wants to play defense, which is heavy man coverage. And that is a real problem because you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison on the other side, guys who can beat man coverage. I think this number's fine, honestly. I know there's a lot of people who like to play like the backup quarterback angle. Again, I would suggest you stop handicapping like with the situational stuff. and really just look deeper into the matchups here. That's not to say the Jags can't cover, but I think that this line is totally fine. Alec Lewis says, sounds like both will play. That's Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace. You would see a slight upgrade to the Vikings in my number. Not a ton here, but I have them both at 50-50. Grinnith Wynn says, Tank Bigsby season. I actually don't think it's Tank Bigsby season. Unfortunately, we saw Travis Etienne come back last week and again pick up his snap count prior to when he was injured. On top of that, it does seem like a game where Jacksonville's most likely to be trailing. We've seen the market steam on Tank Bigsby under, actually, in the last 15 minutes here. I love Tank Bigsby, but I don't love the situation for them in this particular game. All right, third game on the board. We got the Steelers and we got the Commanders. Some possible weather ramifications here. Might rain a little bit throughout the game, but nothing too serious. Market support has been back and forth on this game, but we did see an overnight move towards the Steelers. So early money this week on Washington. As the week has gone on, it's been Steelers bets. Fanduel right now is at 2.5, flat -110. So if you like the Steelers in the game, you would take a look at the Fanduel price. Same with the over in this game. Fanduel has the best in market. I lean opposite to this. This is not going to be a surprise to anyone who watches this show. I would say that I've adopted, even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I've adopted the Commanders as my team this year. I think they're the team that is consistently underrated in market, and actually took out some NFC futures on them over the past couple of weeks as well. I really like this Washington Commanders team. Brian Robinson is out. It means you get some Eckler, McNichols. I forgot who the other back was there last week that was also getting carries. Chris Rodriguez as well. We don't know about the right tackle, Andrew Wiley, but seems like he's going to be trending towards playing. Nick Herbig is out on the Steelers' defensive side of the ball. First and foremost, I think Washington's offense is underrated, but I also think Pittsburgh's defense is overrated. The one thing that makes Pittsburgh's defense look a lot better than it has been this year is they're number one in red zone efficiency. They only give up a touchdown 37.5% of the time when opposing teams enter the red zone. But teams have been able to move the ball on Pittsburgh, and that's with a very bad schedule of opposing quarterbacks that they have faced. Take a quick look for yourself. Go through the Steelers' schedule this year. Even when they got like a good quarterback like Justin Herbert, he was playing banged up in the game. So I think this is a huge step up in class for the Steelers' defense. On top of that, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, good pass rushing duo. It's a mobile quarterback on the other side, and one that gets the ball out of his hands very quickly as well. So I think that mitigates a lot of the pass rush that Pittsburgh will come with today. I like the Washington offense quite a bit. Other side of things, hard to ignore. The Steelers' offense has been better since Russ has been there. They get Zach Frazier, their center back, this week. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be out for Washington after they traded for him this week, still nursing an injury. And it's really hard to know what to make of the Commanders' defense because the statistics are, let's say they play as a unit better than the individual players. You look at the defense on the board and you'd be like, well, this is not going to be a great D. They've held up a lot quite a bit this year. Now, this particular game, Russ has been attacking more downfield. I don't think they're going to completely shut down the Steelers' offense, but I think this number is too short. Again, this might be a theme for me as the year goes on. But Washington's offense, despite how good it is, I don't think the market truly gives them the credit that they deserve. That's one of the teams, particularly for me this year, that I have consistently found value on. And I'm not sure that, the market is not catching up right now. Okay, before we go to our fourth game, I want to remind you, bet the NFL season on Fanduel, America's #1 sportsbook. I'm a huge fan of Fanduel. I bet there every day. It's a great product. It's easy to find. It's one of the best live wagering modules out there right now, whether you're on mobile, whether you're on your desktop. Really good prices on anytime touchdown scores, which we'll talk about at the end of the show today. And right now, all customers get a profit boost every single NFL game day. That means you can pump up your gridiron winnings multiple times a week. Today, on Sunday, you have an anytime touchdown profit boost token. You also have a Sunday Night Football same game parlay profit boost token. I'll talk a little bit more about Sunday Night Football later on. Fanduel has tons of ways you can get in on the NFL action. You can bet money lines, spreads, player props, and more. Plus, with super simple live betting, lightning fast bet settlement, and instant withdrawals, FanDuel makes betting on the NFL easier than ever before. Visit fanduel.com/forwardprogress and download FanDuel today. You must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC. Opt-ins required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. You can call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York as well. Amari Cooper officially out. Let's see what that does to the market. Thank you, Fries. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Dominic, for letting us know that. And we'll see if there's any movement there, as it was weird timing that Buffalo took money before that announcement was made, one way or another, as producer Jason's got the updated lineup on screen here, but still juiced towards the Colts. Rob, did you lean Indy? It sounded like you did, but I think you misspoke and said you leaned Buffalo. Yeah, sorry, guys. This is why I put the numbers up on screen as well, so you can see them in real time. But I make the game 3.5, and market is at 4.5 right now. So certainly lean to Indianapolis. Apologies there if I said Bills by accident. All right, fourth game, Falcons and Saints. Candidly, this is a situation where I would have liked to bet New Orleans earlier in the week because I don't believe in Atlanta. But again, it's a game where as the week is played out, everything working in Atlanta's favor in this particular game. We can start with their offense. Drake London is going to play. How effective he'll be, we don't necessarily know. I actually like Drake London under in the receptions market. It got steamed a little bit yesterday. I still think there's plenty of value there right now. Part of the reason why is I do think Atlanta is likely to be ahead in a lot of this game. Also, you do have the potential injury risk. Not saying I'm rooting for it, but I think you have to bake that into the number as well. Most importantly for New Orleans, they trade away Marshawn Lattimore. Kool-Aid McKinstry is out. Paulson Adebo is on IR. Depth cornerback Rico Payton might not play. They have a cluster cornerback injury situation. And it seems the Falcons have exploited bad defenses this year. They can line up three wide. The Saints don't get pressure. Kirk Cousins probably has the running game working because the Saints can't defend the run, and he can pick apart the defense. I don't see the path to success for the Saints defense in this game. On the other side, Chris Olave out. Cedric Wilson is out. Rashid Shaheed is on IR. Bob Means is on IR. You look at the Saints receiving crew, Mason Tipton, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jermaine Jackson. You have the center, Lucas Patrick, out against a fully healthy defense. And it's just tough. You got one team that's basically like full personnel. Atlanta's not suffered a lot of injuries this year. They had Troy Anderson out for a bit, but nothing significantly impactful. The Saints, yeah, you can give them a coaching bump. Sure. I actually do believe in the coaching bump. I do think that's real. But in this particular game, they just don't have the horses. So slight lean to Atlanta. I think the market is kind of fine in this spot right now. And it is what it is. I know people have a propensity to back Carr as an underdog and fade him as a favorite. But all these old trends that you're looking at, in a lot of these instances, as I'm watching the Giants score a touchdown here, in a lot of these instances, it's not apples to apples, because how many times you get these situations where Carr has no offensive weapons? XS says Olave is a huge loss. Cannot understate how big of a loss that is. It's very similar to when nobody could understand why the Jets were favored over the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Well, not having Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs is huge for that offense. No Olave, Shaheed, and depth wide receivers, no corners. It's a big thing. So very strong lean Atlanta, even though they would be like the public side. You'll probably see all the public bet splits today. Whatever. Who cares? AFC West. Broncos and Chiefs. Current market. Broncos caught money yesterday. They're 7.5 across the board right now. Totals 42.5. A little bit higher on KC or lower than Denver, maybe a combo of both. You saw this on Pizza Buffet last week. Denver, Baltimore. I didn't end up betting Baltimore in the game. I had the over, but I was skewed or leaned towards the other team. I'm not a real believer in Denver. They're at least a fully healthy team. That's one thing they got going for them. But whenever they've taken a step up in class, it's been a challenge for them this year. Let's start with the Denver offense. Probably not going to be able to run the ball because KC's run defense is very good. Has been all season long. What KC does well is they prevent explosive plays. They've given up 25 explosive plays this season. For context, the next lowest teams in the league are at 39. KC's at 25. So what they do to you is make you methodically go down the field on them. You kind of have to success rate them to death. And Baker Mayfield did that on Monday. Baker Mayfield's been playing really well this year. They have an offensive coordinator in Liam Cohen that is a very good OC as well. Schemed up a lot of screens, used that against Spagnuolo's blitz packages. Joe Lombardi has his work cut out for him here because Bo Nix, in my opinion, is not super capable of doing that. And in fact, every time we've seen him step up in class against a better defense this year, whether that was the Chargers, the Steelers, the Jets, it didn't end well for him. So I don't like the Denver offense in this game. On the other side, KC, their offense kind of operates the same way that their defense does. Juju Smith-Schuster's out, so you get more Justin Watson and Mecole Hardman. Denver's D is healthy, but they're going to success rate you to death. They don't create a lot of explosives down the field. When they do, Xavier Worthy can't keep his feet in bounds. Like I've never seen somebody with like less spatial awareness than Xavier Worthy. But the Denver defense, in my opinion, is overrated. It's not just because they got smoked by Baltimore last week. It's because they had this incredible run of poor opponents. And they finally stepped up in class against Baltimore. They struggled. KC's not the Baltimore offense, but they will methodically work their way downfield. They found a running game. They work it with Kareem Hunt. I like Kareem Hunt over in rushing yards in this game. It's twofold, but one, he's a bell cow back now. He's getting 20-plus carries every single game. Two, there's a very decent likelihood that the Chiefs are leading a lot of this game. And three, they just utilize him a ton. So that's the look, Kareem Hunt over rushing yardage. I hate being this guy. There's nothing that bothers me more than stating obvious teasers, especially like the Wong teasers, right? It's pretty easy for anyone to figure out to tease through 7, tease through 3. I think Kansas City teasers, when you're teasing down like this, actually hold a lot more value than a standard other team teasing from, like, for example, the Chargers are in the same type of boat today. I like the Chiefs teasers. I have Chiefs from last week teased with Chiefs from this week. There's a lot of ways you can play those this week. You can figure out who you want to pair it with. But I like Chiefs teasers whenever they're available to me, where all they have to do is win a game. because that's what the Chiefs do. They find ways to win games. KC best teaser team all time. They just find ways to win games, and that's what you need them to do here. So I'm not saying I want to lay the spread. In fact, I don't have KC on any spread. If we got down to 7 flat, I very much would consider this, but I'm not going that route. Steven says Chiefs teaser has to be most popular late today. Never stop me from making a bet. Popularity of the bet will never stop me from making a bet. Commanders right tackle Wiley out. Would see a slight downgrade there on Washington's offense. Not huge. I think Trent Scott will end up playing right tackle for them today. Okay. Let's keep it humming along here. San Fran and Tampa Bay. One-way stream of San Fran action. They are out to 6.5. Pretty much across the board. Total in the game at Fanduel sitting at 50.5. We do have some 50s out there as well. Very tough, challenging game to handicap. Almost everyone that I know and respect likes the San Francisco 49ers this week. And when I say respect, I'm talking about people that I consider to be winning NFL bettors. I will disagree with all of the sentiment on San Fran today. This reminds me of a lot of spots that I see regularly every single year where a team comes off the bye week and there's assumptions made that they're just going to figure everything out. Christian McCaffrey returns. Definitely do not want to understate what that means for the offense. Debo probably playing. Juwan Jennings is in. You have some injuries in the Tampa Bay secondary. We don't know if Tyke Smith's going to play today. I get all the reasons to love the Niners offense with McCaffrey back because they have struggled in the red zone. It's been the biggest difference from last year to this year is that all of a sudden they're still moving the ball downfield, but they can't score when they get there. McCaffrey will help them with that. I don't deny that altogether. And the Bucs defense leaves a lot to be desired. But on the other side of things, even down Evans and Godwin, Jalen McMillan is playing today, by the way. So you get your same receiving core of McMillan, Palmer, Sterling Shepard, Raheem Jarrett, Ryan Miller, all those guys. The issue for me is people are discounting how bad the 49ers defense is. Nick Bosa is still very iffy for this game, a true game time decision. Charvarius Ward is out. This is not the 49ers defense from years past. They have Fred Warner, and they have a lot of average to below average talent across the board. They do not have defensive coaches of years past. Sala, Ryans, Nick Sorensen is not a good DC. And I think that's where I disagree with the sentiment, the market sentiment on the 49ers, because their defense can't stop anyone. It's like a full touchdown worse on points per game since last year without a top corner, with their best pass rusher hobbled. This is a good Bucs offense with a good OC and an above average quarterback. Don't know that I can get to this number. And this is assuming that Christian McCaffrey is going to get a full workload today, which is not a given either, by the way. So I think this is too many points. I do. I think there's just like some, again, built-in assumptions that the switch is going to flip for the 49ers post-bye. And I'm not sure that I entirely agree with that. Patriots and Bears, our next game here. Chicago, 6.5-point favorite. Total in the game has been bet down today to 37.5, some 37 out there. Unfortunately, and I do want to say this, the total you see up on screen needs to be adjusted down based off of the weather that we're seeing this morning. Higher impact than expected from earlier in the week due to the wind in Chicago, we're going to see some gusts above 30 miles an hour. That affects deeper passes, longer field goals. There's a lot of moving parts in this entire game. So let's start with the Chicago offense because they're missing both tackles. They're missing Braxton Jones, their left tackle. They're missing Darnell Wright, their right tackle, which we saw last week against Arizona that it was a major issue. Caleb Williams was lost. He was running around, didn't know what to do. You got some very, very good stunts and pressures and blitzes from the Cardinals defense in that game. Nick Rallis did a great job as the defensive coordinator, giving him different looks. They didn't know what to do. The New England defense is not that. And you always have to account for cluster offensive line injuries. But in my opinion, you also have to account for, is the other team equipped to take advantage of that? You have a New England defense without several players in the front seven. Kyle Duggar's missing on the back end. Christian Ellis is missing in the linebacking core. They have Jawan Bentley on IR. Jabril Peppers is still out. He's on like the commissioner's exempt list. The Patriots are not the team that is going to pressure you to death. And they don't have the cover corners on the outside to be able to shut down the Bears' three wide receivers. I like Caleb Williams over on completions in this game. I think you're going to see a very simplified Bears game plan. Get the ball out of his hands quickly to receivers that can win one-on-one. And I think there's a very clear path to success for the the Bears offense. Now, the other side of things, I like Drake May. I've been very outspoken about how I think he's really impressive. They have a healthy O-line there now. Well, not necessarily, not for sure. As we don't, the Patriots do this every week with the injury reports. Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, Layden Robinson all look like they're going to play. The Bears lose Andrew Billings on the defensive line. They lose Jaquan Brisker again. Sorry, he's out again. Hasn't cleared protocol. Kyler Gordon is back. But Patriots offense, in my opinion, sees a slight bump due to the offensive line being fully healthy. It's not a great O-line, but it's very different from previous weeks. This is a tough game to handicap, in my opinion. Extremely challenging when you consider the injuries on both sides, the weather situation in Chicago, all of the people that took the early Patriots numbers, that's especially the sevens early in the week, cannot argue with that whatsoever. I'm stuck on a bad number here on the over in the game, but that's the handicap right now. Chargers and Titans. Fanduel is the only book I can see right now that's at 7.5 in this game. 7.5 minus 115. If you like the Chargers, you'll want to bet them at Fanduel. Rest of the market is sitting at 8 or even some 8.5s out there. Total 39.5 or 40 in this particular game. Again, not a great read for me on this game. Lots of moving parts. You see it on the board there, but Tennessee's underlying metrics are decent. They always make mistakes. I don't see why that's going to change at any point. Back to Will Levis. He's good to go. You do have a Chargers defense that has injuries. Christian Fulton is likely to miss again today. Asante Samuel, Deontay Leonard are both on IR. You have Khalil Mack banged up, Joey Bosa banged up, Denzel Perryman banged up. It's a banged up Chargers defense, but the Titans cannot help themselves. They can't. Whether it's Levis or Rudolph, the mistakes are there on a weekly basis. One day, maybe they'll clean it all up and they'll play that perfect game and they'll be able to pull off an upset or something along those lines. But right now, it's just it's a struggle to see them consistently move the ball on anyone. I like Tyjae Spears over receptions. Now, I want full disclosure here because Tyjae Spears got steamed into oblivion already. He was opened at 1.5 receptions plus money on the over. It's been bet out quite a bit to where he's favored now. I still think that this has plenty of room to go. I know it's game day here. Market has kind of settled, but Spears active in a game where the spread is 7.5, 8. The likelihood that the Titans are trailing is high. He gets in on a lot of the third downs. He gets a lot of the trailing game states. I think this is a little bit too low, excuse me. Other side of things, Chargers have the healthy receivers. Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, DJ Chark. L'Jarius Sneed is out at corner for the Titans again, which is a problem. The Chargers have slowly morphed into this pass-first offense, but something with their metrics versus the point production and the eye test just doesn't match up right now. They seem to be moving the ball, but they can't score points, which is a real problem, obviously. I think with the healthy receiving core, this offense will trend upwards as the year goes on. Now, you look at the Chargers and their game totals this year. They still have not played a game that has gone into the 40s in overall totals. Is this going to be the one? I don't know. But you have a market that's set at 39.5, 40. I can see why there's a lot of appeal in some sharper accounts for this under this week. No real strong opinion. Don't hate the Chargers, teased with the Chiefs. That goes without saying. Pretty obvious. Philly, Dallas. 425 start. I am a Cowboys fan. If I could go back in time, probably would have picked another team. I say on the board, you see good luck to you, Cooper Rush. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Market is anywhere between a juiced 7 and a 7.5 plus 100 at Fanduel right now. Total 43.5 at Fanduel as well. I don't know what the path to success is for the Cowboys offense in this game. Everyone is fixated on Dak Prescott as having a terrible year. Cooper Rush was 4-1 ATS several years ago when he came in, took over for Dak Prescott. I want to remind you that at that time, the Cowboys had one of the best offensive lines in the league. They had CeeDee Lamb. They had Michael Gallup at the top of his game. They had receivers who were getting separation. They had a defense that was a lot better than they have now. They had a running game. This is not apples to apples. And if you look at his actual efficiency numbers as a quarterback over that period, he wasn't good. I don't know why people think that Cooper Rush is like the savior at quarterback. Dak Prescott has had a bad year because he has no O-line. He has no running game. His receivers don't separate. That's why the Dak Prescott of this season is so much worse than the one of last. And the Eagles defense is getting better and better. They're second in havoc rate in the NFL. That's the percentage of pass plays that end in a tackle for loss, a sack, interception, pass defense, or a forced fumble. It's a huge jump from last year to this year for the Eagles. Part of that, their rookies on defense are playing really well. Fangio's playing them a lot more. I don't really see it for Dallas's offense today. I don't. So you're going to need a big defensive performance against a fully healthy Philly offense. Dallas Goedert at tight end. Okay, you get Micah Parsons back. And Micah Parsons is a game wrecker, game changer. I'm not diminishing his return. But you still have Deron Bland out. You have Trayvon Diggs playing on a minor calf tear. You have a team that can't stop the run. And there's a lot of paths to success for the Eagles here. So again, I know this is like traditionally a spot where people will love to play the Cowboys. What an overreaction to last week. Like, how can this be that much of a down? Again, as high as I've been on Washington this year, I've pretty much been as low on Dallas every week. I do not understand the market respect that the Cowboys have been commanding in recent weeks. I don't get the love against Atlanta last week. Against San Fran, I can understand that because you had a bunch of 49ers injuries on offense. But once that cleared up, I don't get it. I don't get it against Detroit prior to their bye week. And this is a situation where I don't understand the sharp love for Dallas personally. Eagles on the road. Typically, you don't want to put those teams in the Wong teasers. They have a lower percentage win rate. Jalen Hurts has never won in Dallas. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right. Let's keep it going here. Next game. Jets in Arizona. Quick look at the market. Jets are 1.5 point favorite pretty much everywhere at this point. Total in the game is 46.5. I think the Jets are slightly underpriced, but nothing crazy in this matchup. One thing that I will say that the Cardinals have done really well this year, and it needs to be pointed out because my numbers will kind of regress this towards the middle, but the Cardinals don't take penalties. The Jets take a ton of penalties. That has helped Arizona a lot this year. It has hurt the Jets a lot this year. I'd expect over time that those would come closer towards league average. But if you think that that's a trend that will continue, you can maybe reduce my number on the Jets a little bit. Tyler Conklin, questionable for the Jets, as are Elijah Vera Tucker and Morgan Moses on the right side of the offensive line. I think both are going to play. I would really want to watch Jalen Thompson at safety for Arizona. He was added to the Friday injury report with an ankle injury. We don't know if he's going to play here or not. The pass protection has been an issue at points this year for the Jets. And the Cardinals are greater than the sum of their parts in that they don't seem to have a ton of great pass rushers on the roster, but they find ways to generate pressure. I just can't really get over the matchup advantage that the Jets will have against the Arizona corners. Jets pretty solid wide receiving core now with Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson both on the outside. But that's, to me, a very exploitable matchup. Other side of things, no major injury concerns for the Arizona offense. Jets get Tony Adams and Ashton Davis back at safety. They're very close to having a starting defense with the exception of CJ Mosley, who is out. There is a path to success for Arizona running the ball in this game. They do have those games where they just trample teams. Look at the Bears last week as an example. And it's been an issue for the Jets' run defense this year. However, I do think that the Jets' corners will lock down the Arizona wide receivers. That's sort of where my number is at this point. I was digging through this on Friday, but it's more so that I just trust the Jets a little bit more in the passing game right now. And that's where I'm at here. Tough game to handicap, honestly, but I think the Jets are better than being given credit for at this exact moment in time. All right, final game before I'll go to anytime touchdown props. I'm going Detroit and Houston, Sunday Night Football. I want to talk a lot about this one, even though I don't have a strong opinion. So the market now is at Fanduel is 3.5. We see some market making books at -3, -115. They're few and far between those numbers. The total got bet up to 50. So we get word on Friday that Nico Collins is going to practice, being activated from IR. That gives him a 21-day or practice window. Activated from IR, eligible to return, 21-day practice window. And immediately I see, I don't want to say all the Twitter doctors because it's not true. Some of the Twitter doctors are now jumping on the train of like, Nico Collins, plug him in. He's ready to go. He was dealing with a minor hamstring issue and whatever. And I've been betting football for a long time. I feel very strongly that Nico Collins is not playing in this game tonight. I feel, especially coming off of a hamstring injury, which, by the way, was more severe than everyone's making it out to be. Missed a month, for crying out loud. They put him on IR. Was not a minor hamstring injury. Especially with soft tissue injuries. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just purely speaking based off of experience, betting the NFL and going through injury reports on a weekly basis. You do not activate someone on Friday, get them half a practice, and then have them ready to play on Sunday off of soft tissue injury. It doesn't happen. It never happens. I do not understand why people think he is going to play. I don't think he's going to play. And my opinion of Houston's offense without Nico Collins is very different than with Nico Collins, which is obvious. We've seen what they've done without Nico Collins this year and without Stephon Diggs. They do not have the explosiveness. Tank Dell will be fine. He'll play. The Lions defense is nothing to write home about. They acquired Zadarius Smith this week, but Aiden Hutchinson out is their game wrecker. But I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to see Nico Collins take the field for a warm-up today. And the market's going to go nuts because they're going to price him as he's in. This reeks of bluff by the Houston Texans coaching staff where they make Detroit prepare for him and he doesn't play. That's my 2 cents. We'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But that's what I'm saying on this game. So if you do see him on for pregame warmups and the market starts to steam towards the Texans, I'd be very cautious of thinking that he's going to be in for this game. In fact, I think the total is probably a good bet under right now because I do think if he officially gets ruled out later on, you're going to see some money come in on the under in this game. Detroit's without their left tackle, Taylor Decker. Will Anderson is out on the Houston defense. Big blow for them as well. Kind of offsetting type of injuries. Texans defense is good. They lead the league in havoc rate. This is not going to be a walk in the park for Jared Goff. I know it's an indoor game. He has a great OC. I get it. But it's kind of like strength on strength here. Overall, though, I just can't get there with the Houston offense if Collins doesn't play. And I feel that he is not going to play in this game. At some point, Detroit's defense is going to get got. At some point, it's going to happen. Last week was bad weather in Green Bay. This week, they're probably going to get a team again without some top weapons. At some point, it's going to be an issue for them. But right now, I don't think it is. So for this particular game, I'd say just be very careful with playing it or reacting too much to any pregame warm-up stuff is all I'm going to say in regards to this one in particular. Also, if Tank Dell is on the injury report every week, but I don't think he's playing through injury. I don't. If it is, I think it's very insignificant. Okay. That's it for coverage of all the games. Again, if you want to go back, my model numbers are up on screen. Do with it what you want to do. This is an hour and 10 minutes to kick off in a lot of these games. And the reality is, I'm here talking to you. I'm not betting everything on these games right now. I don't have an edge in the market at this point. Not on sides and totals. You got sportsbooks that are taking $100,000 on side right now. If I could beat that, I wouldn't be doing this show. Let me just make that explicitly clear. So take everything with a grain of salt. Those are my opinions. But that's where I'm at for today. Touchdown scores. I got 3 and maybe 1 that I'm interested in. Let's queue up Buffalo, Indianapolis for touchdown scores to start. And I'll talk about 2 players in this game. I said maybe 1. I'll give 4 for this particular game. I know that I like Adonai Mitchell over on receptions and receiving yards. However, the gap in price between Downs, Pierce, Mitchell, and then Ashton Doolin is too much, in my opinion. So we'll start with Ashton Doolin on the Indianapolis Colts side. Plus 800. You need plus 650. There are some plus 900 out there. I always want to encourage you to take the best price. Ashton Doolin is 1. In this same game, Mac Hollins is currently plus 460. I like him on the Bills side. You need plus roughly 380 to bet Mac Hollins. But this is a game where I like 2 wide receivers, both teams dealing with wide receiver injuries. And I think that there's someone that is underpriced for both of these teams. Next, we're going to queue up Jacksonville, Minnesota. This is disgusting because you would have to rely on Mac Jones to throw a touchdown pass. Parker Washington is plus 600. You might not know who Parker Washington is. I don't expect you to know who Parker Washington is, but essentially, he is the third receiver as it stands right now if Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis both play today. And the reality is, I'm not convinced either BTJ or Gabe Davis is fully healthy going into today. I think 600 is a good price. If you could get 500 or more, I think you play Parker Washington today, especially where I think Jacksonville will be in a trailing game state and have a lot of 3-4 wide receiver out there. Backup to backup connection, baby. Finally, this one is disgusting. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. Last week, 3 wide receivers mainly got the run for the Saints. Mason Tipton, Cedric Wilson, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Cedric Wilson is out today. It's very challenging to figure out where those snaps are going to go. They might not even go to a wide receiver, but at the current price for Jermaine Jackson, 15-1, I think you got to throw a little sprinkle on Jermaine Jackson. You need to get at least plus 1,100 on Jermaine Jackson, in my opinion, for a sprinkle. There's some plus 1,800 out there. These are the 4. Taysom Hill's prices have been adjusted too much. I did take Taysom Hill the first game back, which ended up being a winning bet for us. But those are the 4. Mac Hollins, Ashton Doolin, Parker Washington, Jermaine Jackson. August Young, appreciate you, brother. I'm glad you're having a great season. Thank you very much for the donations. Goes a long way. Means a lot to us here at Forward Progress. I'll stick around for a little bit longer here. Which one do you like the most? The biggest edge for me is on Mac Hollins. He's also the most likely. But, yeah. Jawan Johnson. I don't like anyone else on the Saints other than, okay, so one thing about these markets, anytime touchdown score, right? I always encourage you to bet them at Fanduel as much as possible. Have a Fanduel account at least to bet these, because I'm looking at the market today, left to right, and Fanduel's got the best price on over half of these guys. So first and foremost, this is a high vig/high hold market. It's not like betting minus 110 on both sides of the game. The vig is exponentially worse than this. So you have to find, it's not good enough to just price shop and play the guys who are off market. That's not enough to overcome the vig. You have to find scenarios, in my opinion, that are centered around injuries and guys who are deeper on the depth chart that are tough to project. That is where typically the value lies, not at the top of the board. Mac Hollins is not like a deep depth chart guy. to me, his price just hasn't been adjusted enough for this type of situation here. Like so the problem with the Texans is that we have several weeks now of Nico being gone, Diggs being a couple weeks now of this will be the second of no Diggs. And that stuff already gets priced in. So you have Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, Robert Woods, John Mechie, Steven Sims. I mean, if I was going to look at someone on the Texans, it would probably be Cade Stover, but it's not a strong opinion by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Quickly reviewing the board. More game day money showing for Steelers. We got some more game day money showing for Broncos. That one is pushing closer and closer to 7. Those are the bigger moves happening as of today, right now. Which 3 should he parlay? By now, you know my answer. If you want to parlay them, go ahead. It's your money. Do whatever the hell you want to do with your money. I would suggest you play them as straight bets. I am not parlaying those guys today. However, you do what you want to do. Okay. I think that's going to be it for me, unless there's any more questions. I am back here. Rob, what's your opinion on those weekly specials on FanDuel? Like any 4 of these 5 players, anytime touchdowns. So typically you can price those by comparing to other markets as well. Any sort of odds boost special. In some cases, they're good. They're not good in every case, is what I wanted to say. So, yeah, that's it. Okay, back here tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll go live right before Sunday Night Football. By then, we should have more clarity on Nico Collins. Again, I'm firmly entrenched in the camp that he's not going to play. I don't know why people are running that he is, but we will see. I've been wrong many times before. We'll have full clarity by 8 p.m. tonight. I'll give out props for that game. I'll give out an SGP for that game as well. You can already start SGPing if you want now, with the premise that Nico Collins will miss, by the way. I saw Hitman gave out CJ Stroud under pass yards this morning. That's not a bad look. It's moved a little bit, but that's fine. I think some Tank Dell alts makes sense for Sunday Night Football, but you can join me at 8 p.m. Over the course of the first half, myself, Clive Bixby, we're going to look ahead to week 11, all the openers, try to find some early value on the board. Last week, there wasn't much out there. Patriots, I think, mainly. The week prior, there was tons. So who knows what's going to happen tonight. Tune in, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Set bell notifications. Make sure you're subbed here on Forward Progress. Appreciate every single person out there who watched. Wish you the best of luck on your bets today. Unless you're opposite me, I won't wish you good luck on those, but good luck on the rest of things. I'll see you back here tonight on Forward Progress. This has been Pizza Buffet Week 10 in the NFL, presented by FanDuel. Peace out, everyone. Enjoy your day.